Welcome in this new year to usher in hopefully some new successes, new goals for this channel, and many new things just for us to actually be hitting on a high end level. And hopefully, we could just have a grand old time and actually get the victory that we need. And we can have a whole ass lolly party because why the hell not? But when it comes down to it, though, some things just still remain the same, and one of those things is obviously the gaming industry. When it comes down to it, it's not necessarily sweet, it's not necessarily great, and we already know the lingering issues because that shit just still remains, unfortunately. And, when it comes down to it, we've seen a lot of dumbassity when it comes down to it. And just overall, I want to kind of talk about just entirely why I think this is the main idea of what they're aiming for, or at least what is the main objective of what they're trying to accomplish and do, because it doesn't make sense. Like, let's really look at the whole category of things that's happened this year, right? Or at least last year. We had studios closing off, we had layoffs, we had, people making really bad moves in terms of different games and other stuff like that. We had literally one of the biggest live service games go down in 2 weeks' time. We literally had like other games that uses very good famous IPs to just make shit content, or content that was obviously not really going to hit hard for a lot of people, and many things of the sort. And it's like, why? What is the ultimate reason for all this? And if we really look at this stuff, you would initially think, well, it's somehow to do with money, right? Because obviously they're trying to push agenda stuff and all this type of things, and it's like, yeah, money would be a way of trying to do things. They want to make things their own way, but at the same time they want to make money doing so. But then when you really look at it, it's like they've lost a shit ton of money just this year alone, right? A lot of people have. And there's games that people want to play, like Stellar Blade, Black Myth Wukong, and so many other things that came out last year that was really good to decent. And it's like, you have opportunities to do cool things. You have that. No one is really in your damn way, realistically, to give out good gaming content. And the question is, why do you follow that path? And again, money usually is the motivator, and you would think so, but at the very same time, at this point, is it? With how much money has been lost when it comes down to these companies and these studios and industry, it's like there has to be something more here, right? And some people have asked that question, what is the actual truth, right? And if I'm gonna be honest with you, the only thing I could think of as to what this could be, as to why the industry is the way it is and why they're ever so changing, and why some people in the industry is now trying to point this shit out, and then some people are trying to revert back like, oh, we never did this in the first place. I genuinely think it's just a manipulation tactic. That's really what it is. And when you really think about it in that type of way, it kind of makes sense, right? What would genuinely be like the main thing that's way more powerful than money? People. And if we're gonna be honest with you, people make shit happen. Without, honestly, people in the picture of anything, money is just nothing but a piece of shit paper. It is literally paper you can wipe your ass with and no one gives a damn. That's just essentially what money is, if there is nothing going on when it comes to people that, is in charge of it, or actually has a lot of it and stuff like that. Money has literally no type of value, is why you ain't supposed to set your heart upon it. But at the very same time, though, it can be a motivator. It can be used as a tool. It can be used for a lot of things. And when we look at the grand scheme of a lot of the industry last year and the years before, it's like, it's the only thing that makes a lot of sense. Really think about it. We have a lot of these agenda pushing things, like where you have two male characters maybe go kiss or something like that, or you have like certain type of trans agendas and things of sort like that, or basically making female characters be like the ultimate strongest flexing person on the planet, like they're flexing way harder than your balls in the morning for whatever reason. And that's just kind of how it is, trying to make them more masculine when that's just not how it works, and make men more weak and frail and feminine, which, again, more agenda pushing stuff. And when it comes down to it, though, just a lot of that stuff in general. And obviously, as a company, as a business, your main thing, you would think, is to simply make money, right? It is the main thing that you would want to do. But look at a lot of these places. Square Enix, they starting to really realize, oh shit, we're kind of getting effed up right now. All right, let's not do this. Let's stop doing all this dumb shit and start actually making games that is worth a damn, that people want to see and play. And they're trying to get their head on their shoulders. It's gonna take a little minute, but you know they're trying to work towards a goal. Capcom, they have their American division that obviously is more focused on the woke stuff and, you know, is more easily susceptible to putting shit like that in there. But their main branch is Japan. Obviously, they're not caring two shits about it, because if that was the case, I mean, look at Street Fighter 6's character designs when it comes down to the females. They still looking pretty saucy. They still looking pretty nice and sexy. So, you know, obviously they have their mind in one place, and obviously America has their mind in another place. Same thing you kind of say about Sony as a whole. Sony Japan wants to have, you know, the normal, nice, fun shit that we usually would have. America version of Sony just wants to make everybody suffer and hate everybody. That's essentially how it is. But, and it's also like, no matter what type of idea is pushed in front of these people, no matter what idea gets in their heads or way or whatever, they will still charge on ahead, lose money, and essentially just be like, we don't give a damn, we'll still continue down this path. That's why they're not necessarily fazed by the whole fact that Concord failed, and they still go in the live service path and all that type of stuff. Meanwhile, you got games like, again, like Wukong Celebrate and whatever, Chinese games, Korean games, Japanese games, when they're given a chance to breathe, you know, they come through now, and now basically they're whooping the whole market of the West's ass. That's essentially what's happening, and it has what has happened, and people are now seeing, oh shit, we're going into a dominant future of Asian marketed games, which honestly is refreshing as hell to see, because with the last couple of years of slop, I don't want to see that type of shit no more. I just don't. I rather just have it be an all Asian future, which, you know what, that sounds pretty damn good. Sounds pretty damn good. Just like I would like to have an Asian wife in my hands at some point in time. But that's a future goal for a later date. But essentially, when it comes down to it, though, again, all this shit can't just be attributed to money, right? This has to be attributed to some type of manipulation tactic or whatever. Because again, if money was a heavy thing, don't you think some of these companies would be like, hold up, wait a minute, too much dip on your chip. There's a little something weird going on here. We might have to go ahead and hit that reverse button. We have to pause real quick. That's how it's going to be. But they're not really doing that, essentially. And when you look at it, it's like, yeah, it could just be manipulation. Because why else would they push so hard in these tactics of, you know, these different agendas that they want to go for and things of sort like that? Why continuously lose money and, you know, make yourselves look worse when obviously it's something that's not really working? And the only thing I could think of is like, well, if they were to manipulate the people and the audience and stuff into that direction by calling them homophobic or trying to go after gamers for liking one thing over another thing and just hating on them for any type of reason, going after people that call this type of shit out all the time and try to, you know, do whatever they can to ruin their careers, their reputations, and all that sort of stuff, when it comes down to it, it starts to kind of be like, well, this kind of could make a bit of sense, right? Because let's say their agenda pushing actually worked and they did it for a long time and nobody cared anymore, and that's just how the norm is for a lot of things. When it comes down to it, they get what they want and they still make the money, but mainly now they're controlling the market. Now they're controlling the narrative of what gets accepted, what doesn't get accepted, and all that type of stuff. And having plenty of people by your side is by far the biggest, and even I would argue better force for yourself than money could ever give you. Like, for example, look at content creation, look at YouTubers, look at the different ones that exist out there. Look at how many people follow them. Look at how many people actually supports them and helps them out when they need that type of shit. When it comes down to it, let's just keep it a stack. They could definitely benefit 10,000 times more because they got them in their own ways. They got their audience in their own ways of how they think, right? They got them helping them in whatever ways they want to help them, right? I mean, all you gotta do is really look at an OnlyFans girl for 5 seconds, or whoever the hell else likes to do whatever type of similar thing. And essentially, you got thousands of people, possibly millions of people, looking at this one person because damn, they're hot. I want to see more of their body and things and sort like that. And then they could easily be like, oh, you wanna see more of me? You're gonna have to pay a heftier fee, or you're gonna have to basically go through a process of some other stuff, essentially, or be a supporter of some stuff and things like that. Again, it's really coming down to like a manipulation tactic and a peer pressure thing, and that's essentially what it is. The only thing about this whole thing is they're failing. They're not necessarily doing well, and a lot of people are realizing that. So this whole manipulation tactic, whatever it was to cause the start of the whole situation, basically kind of failed. And when it comes down to it, you only got people to come through in some regard, and then people are just genuinely confused, and people are obviously not buying this shit, whatever the case may be. Hell, that's why, again, if we're gonna be honest, why the recent election went the way it did. Honestly, don't matter what side you was basically on. So my whole point of this video is essentially the fact to tell you that it's not about the money when it comes down to it, because if it was, they would definitely care a lot more and definitely would make some drastic measures to make sure they don't lose any more money as they have as an industry. This is more so of an attempt of a manipulation tactic. At least in my mind, that's where this stuff goes. And again, I could be wrong. This could be something else entirely, and I'm not necessarily sure. But from what I can see, from what I can tell, why every decision has been made in the way they have been made, why people think the way they do, and why certain agendas get pushed and not casted to the wayside and not look at the obvious BS that goes into these type of things, it's mainly manipulation, peer pressure, if we're going to be honest with you. So that's why it's so important to have people to call shit out and have people to think for themselves and encourage that type of thinking, because at the end of the day, there's going to be things like this that happen constantly all the time throughout life. And the last thing you would need to be put in a position of is limitedness, essentially being manipulated for absolutely no reason, and you wouldn't even stand for half of this shit, and you kind of did it anyway. And the last thing you need is to be put in that type of position. So to me personally, why the gaming industry is the way it is because they wanted to manipulate people. They obviously failed, and they're basically suffering the hard ass consequences when it comes down to it. But again, that's just my thinking on it. So hopefully you did enjoy that one. I'm also going to bring up a whole nother video for the Art Conquest of Genshin, so if you want to stick around for that, please do. Hit the subscribe button. We're going to hit the high ass end goal of more than 10,000 this year, because we are not failing. I refuse to fail this year, because if I do fail, I'm going to smoke crack. I'm not going to do that, but you get the damn point. I'm going to lose my mind. But when it comes down to it, hopefully you stick around. Hopefully you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Also go ahead and follow me on Twitter and other places. And if you'd like to help the channel and donate just in general to help me out, there has Cash App and there is obviously Kofi. And until then, it's been your boy Jay. I'll see you a bit later. Have a blessed day.